Hey, Mega Christians, I need your help. I'm a bit rusty, so I'm here looking for the part in the Bible where it says defend thine sitting president even when he posts something clearly racist about the only black president we've ever had and his first lady during Black History Month.
Good evening, Patriots, and thank you, Sister Lysandra, for that honest question. This is something I've been hearing a lot lately, and I'm glad you asked, because it is in the Bible. The MAGA Bible. As it says in Lesser Monthnians 4:4, thou shalt never question our Orange King, especially during months of cultural celebration. For racism is in the eye of the beholder, and if thou sees it, thou hast sinned with liberal eyes.
Do you think it's closer to the part where he says that he could shoot somebody in broad daylight and not lose any votes?
No, sister, that is in the Old Testament. 1 King Donald, 2016.
Or do I have to jump ahead to the grab him by the puss portion?
No, sister, that's the Old Testament as well. Though the king spake crudely of women, his followers insist he speaketh plainly, as real men do. Chauvinicus 4:3.
Or is it in the redactions of all the files? Who knows? Let me know. God bless.
Yes, the redactions. Some verses are written, some are hidden, and some are redacted for the sake of faith. God bless.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect. For those listening in over the radio airwaves at gcpr.live, thank you for tuning in. And for everyone else watching and listening from all over social media, welcome all. Thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect, daily news in a way you did not know you could use. Yesterday it came out that an airport in El Paso was to be shut down for 10 days. It was shut down for approximately 10 hours. We do have some additional information regarding that, and this is coming from Yahoo News. It appears that immigration officials caused the El Paso airport shutdown when they panic fired a powerful laser weapon at a children's balloon. That's one story. Another story has to do with drones, but we're going to go with this information. It is the last of what I could find. Hey, Anna J. Federal officials made the unprecedented decision to abruptly close the airspace above El Paso, Texas this week, effectively shutting down the city's international airport. The closure launched a flurry of speculation about the cause, from an imminent invasion to rogue anti-aircraft weapons. It later turned out that the order, which would have closed the airport for 10 days, was issued by the Federal Aviation Administration Administrator Brian Bedford after finding out that U.S. officials use of high-energy counter-drone laser weapon at Fort Bliss, a U.S. Army post right next to the El Paso International Airport. The enemy drone swarm turned out to be a simple party balloon, a potentially enormous and unintentionally hilarious overreaction contradicting claims by the White House of an imminent drone incursion from Mexican drug cartels. Well, when you hire the dumbest of the dumb, now, the New York Times reports that the anti-drone laser was used by Customs and Border Protection officials who had loaned the device from the Department of Defense, yet another confusing wrinkle in an already chaotic series of events. The extremely rare airspace closure was seemingly the result of aviation officials not getting enough notice from the CBP agents. Multiple people briefed on the situation told the newspaper. According to the sources, CBP officials believed they were shooting the laser weapon at a Mexican cartel drone and not a party balloon. The latest development highlights the Trump administration's ongoing militarization of CBP, enabling its personnel to use military-grade equipment, often against unarmed individuals, from drones and helicopters to armored vehicles. The CBP's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in particular, has been at the center of violent nationwide crackdown, resulting in at least 2 deaths, triggering congressional investigations. The latest embarrassing slip-up was similarly met with furor among lawmakers. A 10-day shutdown of a major U.S. air corridor is an extraordinary step that demands a clear and consistent explanation, said Senator Jack Reed, Democrat out of Rhode Island, in a statement. The conflicting accounts coming from different parts of the federal government only deepen public concern and raise serious questions about the coordination and decision making. Now, from one corrective action to the next, if you were not aware earlier today, self proclaimed border czar, yes, that is his official title, and that is the title that he wanted, and Trump agreed to it and gave him that title shortly after being inaugurated last year. Tom Homan stated that further de escalation would be taking place out of Minnesota and that they would be withdrawing. And he went on to thank uh, the Minneapolis mayor and Governor Tim Walz. Tim Walz responded by saying, "Hey, we'll help you pack as long as you get the crap out of here." Hey, Nana J, I will be. Thanks for asking. Um, but Trump has had troops or boots on the ground, so to speak, from coast to coast, wherever he feels that he can intimidate his political rivals. Third term of what? Third term of stupidity? I'm going to tell you this. Today is not the day for you to come over here showing that you have a quarter of brain matter betwixt your ears and behind your eyes. Find something safe to do. And trust and believe it's not here today. Hey, Nightbird. Coming from The Independent, Trump quietly pulls National Guard from Chicago and Los Angeles after series of court losses. Donald Trump's administration has quietly withdrawn federalized National Guard troops from Democratic cities after a series of court rulings struck down the president's plans. The withdrawal quietly concluded last month with no public acknowledgement from the White House or Department of Defense, despite the administration's insistence that U.S. military assets needed to be deployed on American streets to curb violent crime and support immigration enforcement. The end of those deployments, first reported by the Washington Post, is mentioned only by the U.S. Northern Command, stating that troops sent to Chicago, Portland, and Los Angeles have completed demobilization activities. That includes the withdrawal of more than 5,000 troops from California, roughly 500 troops in Chicago, and another 200 in Oregon at the president's direction. They were sent home by January 21st, according to the Pentagon. Those deployments cost nearly $500 million, according to the Congressional Budget Office. A month before those deployments ended, Trump announced on his Truth Social account that the administration would be removing service members, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities, and only by that fact. Here's the thing: all of these places that Trump is sending people to. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate the channel. They were already going through a decrease in crime because of initiatives that the local governments had already set into place. And also, there's something that I learned from a poli-sci professor, my freshman year undergraduate. In places where the populace has aged, crime is going to naturally decrease. Not because older people are less likely to commit crimes, they're less able to. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. And it's not an official study or anything, but I would be remiss if I did not bring up, we're having a decrease in crime places where we're also having a decrease in white babies being born. Mm-hmm. And before somebody goes, Taz is anti-white. No. When white people are not forced to live in the fairy tale situation that society, white supremacist society, places upon them, and they can live in their truth, there is a decrease in crime. There is a correlation. Yes, this is true for all communities, absolutely. But right now, the white community is still the majority. The white community still, whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, sets the tone for the rest of society. Hey, twin. Now, let's I guess lighten things up just slightly here. Um, hey Harley, there are quite a few people who, whether on Discord or the Signal chat, and feel free if you want to join the Signal chat. Always linked in my bio. People saying that they are a bit confused. What they're reading through the official channels when it comes to movies, television ratings, they're getting one set of data points regarding Melania's film. And then what they see on social media, they're getting something different. And we're accustomed to that because we know there are fandoms that exist. There are people that will give a personal glowing review of a movie, and then the critical acclaim just isn't there. Most notably and most recently, the movie Sinners. But there's such a disparaging take on things. You don't have people in droves talking about going to see Methonia. That's a good one, Holly. Going to see Melania's movie. You don't have a bunch of posts regarding this. You don't, have get ready with me while I go see Melania the documentary. Like we know those annoying creators or influencers, whatever. You don't have that. But then you have an influx in certain ratings numbers. Well, here's a bit of information coming in from Politico. Melania viewership falls off during Super Bowl weekend. Because people were arguing about the Super Bowl, forgetting that they were supposed to be intimidating and strong arming people into going to see the movie. And just like with the Trump themed birthday parties, all of these forever Trumpers are only forcing their children to do these things. Super Bowl weekend is typically one of the lowest attended movie-going times of the year. That's a conversation we can have for another day, because for the amount of people who complain about not being into sports, not understanding why people would be into sports, always talking about, oh, I wish I could find a partner that wasn't into sports, blah, 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 as if you can't have differing hobbies and not bother one another with the hobbies, you would think movie viewing would spike. Oh, El Jefe, shut the fuck up. Sorry, angry. Hollywood largely ceded attention to football over the slow box office weekend, with the survival thriller Send Help repeating as number one in ticket sales, and the Melania Trump documentary Melania falling sharply in its second weekend. Super Bowl weekend is typically one of the lowest attended movie-going times of the year. It was the second slowest weekend last year, and in 2024, it ranked dead last for movie-going. Studios. Do we really want to take those data points from those years coming out of being in lockdown where people really didn't have a lot of money? You know what? We're going to roll with the data points that we were given. That's what we're going to do. Studios instead put their focus on advertising movies for the massive television audience. Among the trailers expected to hit the NFL broadcast Sunday were the Walt Disney Company's Mandalorian and Grogu, Lionsgate's Michael Jackson biopic Michael, and Universal Pictures' The Super Mario Galaxy movie. In North American theaters, the Disney 20th Century Studios released Send Help, directed by Sam Raimi, led all films with $10 million in its second weekend, according to studio estimates Sunday. With $53.7 million globally thus far, the R rated survival thriller has proved a solid mid budget success. Disney, meanwhile, watched its remarkably long lasting Zootopia 2 cross $1.8 billion worldwide in its 11th week of release. Melania from Amazon MGM added 300 theaters in its second weekend, but dropped steeply to $2.4 million in ticket sales, down 67% from its much discussed debut. Now, it was discussed because it was a piss poor debut. So, the military personnel, the powers that be, that were trying to strong arm people, they got so caught up in going to specifically Mexican restaurants to try to stream YouTube on the TVs so that they could watch Kid Rock lip sync poorly on a pre-recorded. Okay. But Turning Point USA powers that be and Trump himself didn't watch the. Why would you add more theaters when people aren't seeing? The rapid downturn means the Brett Ratner directed documentary is likely headed toward flop territory given its high price tag. Amazon MGM paid $40 million for the film rights plus $35 million to market it. If you were going to do a documentary regarding the questionable English speaking, got to make it look legit. Yeah, Einstein visa recipient, First Lady, you should have done an actual biopic. The documentary should have been about her life, not a male centered, orange Oompa Loompa centered BS documentary that covers 2 weeks. Not for the budget. Why did you need that budget? Oh, that's right. In plain sight money laundering for the umpteenth time during this second administration of Trump. The North American total for Melania stands at $13.4 million. $40 million for the film rights, $35 million to market it, $75 million to put it on. That's money laundering. They just wanted one more thing for us to pay for it. We're continuously laundering money for Trump and allowing Trump to truly turn profits for the first time in his adult life, in his professional career, without his father or Ivana at the helm of the Trump organization. A quick caveat. Remember the civil suit that Pete Hegseth decided to wage against Congressman Kelly? The war hero, astronaut, twin brother of an astronaut, wife got shot in the head, Mark Kelly. Where yes, it was a civil suit. If you were not aware, it was a civil suit. Where Pete Hegseth was like, we're going to strip him of his rank and he doesn't get any more pension. And Mark Kelly was like, I got money in the bank. I got money in the bank. Well, the judge was like, you can't do that. Hey, Whiskey Leaks, you can't do that. There's no precedence for you to remove anything. One, and two, this is not a civil case matter. Three, he didn't break the law. Four, he didn't break any military laws or rules. Yeah. Whiskey Leaks is not making things any better for reservists coast to coast. The reservist jokes are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. If you have been a reservist in these here United States and you thought a reservist becoming sec def was going to get people to cut the reservist jokes out, yeah, you're not. Oh, and he was right. Who was right, Mimi? Who was right? Hegseth or the judges? Which one, Mimi? Mark Kelly. Yes, Mark Kelly was right. Okay. Now, On to another loss for Trump and his cronies. Judge blocks Trump administration from moving former death row inmates to Supermax prison. Look, judge blocks Trump administration from moving former death row inmates to Supermax prison. I promise y'all I can talk. I promise y'all I can talk. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from transferring 20 inmates with commuted death sentences to the nation's highest security federal prison, warning that officials cannot employ a sham process for deciding where to incarcerate the prisoners for the rest of their lives. U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly ruled late Wednesday that the government cannot send the former death row inmates to the Supermax federal prison in Florence, Colorado, because it likely would violate their Fifth Amendment rights to due process. Kelly cited evidence that officials from the Republican administration made it clear to the Federal Bureau of Prisons that the inmates had to be sent to ADX Florence administrative maximum to punish them because Democratic President Joe Biden had commuted their death sentences. So it's okay for Trump to pass out pardons like they're party favors, even though within the past 48 to 72 hours, yet another pardoned Jan 6er has been convicted of child molestation. Ed Trumpelstein himself can sell pardons for $1 million a pop, but a Democratic president can't commute a sentence. And these people who are already not getting out of prison must be punished further, and regardless of their level of crime, should be sent to a supermax. And no matter what you may feel about you hate a man that you don't even fucking know. Bull bitch, I know more about Trump than you probably know about your daddy. Because the last time you saw your daddy, you were looking at the inside of his ball sack. And speaking facts is not hate. You should have been swallowed, dilapidated, molded, bitch. Anywho. Now, regardless of where you stand, whether you're for the death penalty or not, the commutation of sentences from death row is actually a benefit to us as taxpayers. It's cheaper to keep them alive in prison than it is to assemble everybody that it takes in order to kill them behind bars. And me personally, death is a way out of being held accountable, because what punishment do they have? They don't have to sit there and let their conscience eat away from them, because they did. The conscience died with them. It's all exhausting, and Bondi admitted J6 folks are working for the DOJ. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When they started mass firing people willy-nilly and not thinking about what they were doing, and the best of the best they were firing, and people were like, I cannot do this, because you can't sustain, even if you don't have a spouse, you don't have children, okay, and it's just you still have to sustain yourself enough where you can have a place to lay your head, you can have food to eat, you can have certain things. Nobody can live like that where they don't know day to day if something is going to just be snatched away from them. If all that security that they built up, that they went to school with, established, so they started lowering all of the standards in order to get people in there. Yeah, we are in the it's cheaper to keep her era. Yeah, but yeah, Trump cannot send people to supermax prisons just because he's pissed off that their sentences got commuted. And here's the thing, if we're going to base that off commutations, did Trump forget that at the beginning of this term that he's in now, he did a bunch of commutations himself? Did we forget about his commutation for Mr. Hoover? So does that mean we're sending Mr. like, and this is what gets me about one of the largest factions of the GOP today, which is Trumpism, aka MAGA, is that they preemptively do all of these things, forgetting that we live collaboratively in society. Like when they preemptively went to go sue so that they wouldn't have to, as private business owners, service certain people. And then they sit there and cry when the precedent is there legally, where the rest of us don't have to service them in private entities, in private businesses, in our private homes, in our private lives. They don't like that. But they still haven't learned. Okay, yeah, we already went through that. And more on the alpha male that is Trump being put in this place. And quick side note, there were multiple updates regarding the Epstein / Maxwell files, multiple updates regarding Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, etc. So I put them all together in one streamline bonus of the Taz Effect. It is up on YouTube at TazJ77. It's dated for today, Epstein / Maxwell updates. More than likely, there will be another one like that coming tomorrow, just because there's so many things coming rapid fire and trying to still go through all of these new witness accounts that are coming out and all of the files that were dumped all at once. Let me also remind you all of this. I tell you all this before. When people are very quick, there is no way within 10 to 15 minutes of a document drop when it comes to anything coming from the federal government. I don't care how redacted it is. You still have to go through to see what's redacted. You still have to do checks and balances that people are giving you these exposés and these detailed takes. Ain't no way. This is why so many lies are floating around, and this is not helping the actual victims. And I need you all to remember, this is a case that is international. And for all of the thousands of victims that we know about, let alone we don't know the number that we don't know about, you're tainting jury pools with lies and pushing forward lies. I'm going to need y'all to think, okay? Does it make sense? Is this plausible? In order for this to have happened, how many people would have to be involved, and would that be able to happen and it stay a secret this long? Because this morning somebody put up, because of a rumor, and I knew that the rumor was floating around, that Jeffrey Epstein had hacked a Powerball. Wrong state, wrong amount, wrong time. And I need y'all to think about something. Why would a self-proclaimed financier that's making money hand over fist, that's blackmailing people, that's convincing multiple of his clientele to make him their living power of attorney, where not only does he have control over his money, but other people's money and businesses and connections. Why would he manipulate a Powerball? That would be his weekend trip with a bunch of bitches' money. I need y'all to think. You're to the point where you're missing how salacious and egregious reality is, and you're trying to up the ante, and it's not helping. You cannot keep screaming. They're going to keep getting away with it because justice never happens, because you don't want to accept the fact that you're standing in the way of justice. When y'all do these things, you taint jury pools. This is how we end up with verdicts where we're scratching our head going, how did they get here? I can tell you how they got there. I can tell you how they get to these acquittals. Because these people are more willing to believe a damn lie with no proof than facts with 2 tons of evidence. This is why you have juries sit there and watch videos, look at emails, text messages, hear voicemail, see witnesses break down on the stand and go, nope. My favorite creator on Facebook and on TikTok told me it was this, this, and this. And I know she wasn't even born during that time, and she ain't never been to that state, and she ain't never talked to them people that died 30 years ago, but I know she's right on the money. Because how do I know? Right after they dropped them documents at 12:05 on Wednesday, at 12:06, she gave me a full breakdown of 4.5 billion pieces of paper. This is why I tell y'all, I do not strive to be the fastest. It is my goal to be the most accurate. And should I get something wrong, misinterpret something, I will tell y'all, just like I tell y'all all the time. Some things, because they're evolving stories, my assessment of them will evolve as more information comes up. I have come back and given retractions because information that initially was made public and was able to be vetted turned out to be a lie. Most recently and most notably with the Nancy Guthrie case, where myself and y'all, we were like, this is weird that they're asking for Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, that's what the original information said. And come to find out, it was a hoax because somebody was playing on the family's emotion, trying to have a get-rich-quick scheme. Came out and told you, but you got to think. There is no way that you have conglomerates like NBC, ABC, all of this, with thousands of interns and staffers on hand, and they're not able to get through this information quickly. And you gonna tell me 1 or 2 creators online can get through millions of pages and give you these in-depth breakdowns quickly? No. 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 And also, I need y'all to realize, I told y'all this when we first found out that information, that files were going to be made public to a certain extent, because redactions are the name of the game. They have to happen. There are people, because like I said, there are a multitude of document types in these files, and there are going to be people to take advantage of this. Just like every time a scandal pops up, here comes, sorry, not sorry, but most often, here comes a white woman trying to center herself. Just like Monica Lewinsky's ass done popped up again. Y'all know I'm still traumatized because of Bill Clinton. Monica, you done had $200,000 worth of plastic surgery. Nobody knows what you look like anymore. We wouldn't know what you look like if you would stop popping up with interviews. Nobody is checking for you, Monica. There's generations, multiple, that are alive now that have no idea who you are. They've heard your name, but they have no true idea who you are. And I'm going to say it finally, since nobody else will say it. Monica Lewinsky was not a victim. She was not groomed. She pursued the hell out of Bill Clinton. She was an affair partner. She was an affair partner. Can we finally say that? She was an affair partner who thought she was going to brag to the older, in her mind, uglier. Now, Trip was ugly as shit. Woman, like, yeah, I got him. You've been around for so long, but I got him. And Linda was like, bitch, and I'm about to get you. And the payout and how they thought things were going to go, it didn't go that way. And now they want to play victim, and y'all don't let them play victim for decades. Let it go. Let it go. We found out a left-leaning TikTok creator harassed and intimately touched without consent 4 different women in one night. Here comes a woman, but such and such attacked me because of my adoption status. As she's simultaneously telling you how she told her black family with her white ass for them to go shut the F up and sit down and that she can do all of these different things. Life is salacious enough in truth. You don't have to add anything else into it. With that, let's lean into this. And for you MAGAs that like to watch, J.B. Pritzker calls out Donald Trump's fragile masculinity. For those that have been following the series that I have on Substack at TazJ regarding the different factions of the GOP, series wrapped today with Trumpism. And a major component of Trumpism is emotion, and the emotion attached to gender identities. Let's continue. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker took aim at Donald Trump's masculinity after he made a major mishap in identifying Switzerland's leadership. You know, Pritzker, if you really want to Trump, talk about the fact that you're in politics because you truly don't have to be, because you come from actual money, like you grew up with money. That's how you know where to get your suits tailored at. During a reported phone call, the president referred to Karen Keller-Sutter as the prime minister when she's actually the head of Switzerland's Federal Department of Finance. But what caused Pritzker to take a jab at Trump's masculinity? In a conversation with Fox Business host Larry Kudlow, Trump had quite a lot to say about the FDF Swiss leader. After Trump announced 30% tariffs on Switzerland, he received an emergency call from Karen to negotiate.
I had an incident with a very nice country, Switzerland. They were paying no tariffs, sending stuff over here like nobody could believe. And we had a $42 billion deficit. And we weren't taking anything. I said, well, we have to do something because we have to even that up a little bit. I didn't have to get everything at one time. So I put on a 30% tariff, which is very low. Still, we were having a big deficit, but it was half the deficit. Then I got an emergency call from, I believe, the Prime Minister of Switzerland, and she was very aggressive, but nice, but very aggressive. Sir, we are a small country. We can't do this. We can't do this. I couldn't get her off the phone. We are a small country. I said, you may be a small country, but we have a $42 billion deficit with you. No, we are a small country. Again and again and again. I couldn't get her off the phone. So it was at 30%. And I didn't really like the way she talked to us. And so instead of giving her a reduction, I raised it to 39%. And then I got inundated by people from Switzerland, and I figured, you know what?
Trump described her as nice yet very aggressive woman, and in a plot twist, he decided to increase the tariffs to 39% because of the FDF Swiss leader's tone. Trump even mimicked her response, saying, "We are a small country. We can't do this." He repeated her remarks and justified his decision, citing trade deficit concerns as a primary reason for the sharp increase. Trump doesn't understand deficits, let alone trade deficits. Because every time he sees numbers saying that somebody is getting more from us than we're getting from them, for him to be a numbers man, he don't know numbers at all. He repeated her remarks and justified his decision, citing trade deficit concerns as a primary reason for the sharp increase. This appeared contradictory given his first reason for increasing the tariff by 9%, and it's what caught the attention of Governor Pritzker. Pritzker reshared the interview on X. The Illinois governor claimed Trump increased the tariffs only because his ego took a hit. He captioned the reshared video, writing, "The art of fragile masculinity." Pritzker is a longtime foe of the Trump administration and often slams the POTUS's politics. It didn't take long for Nietzens to respond to Pritzker's statement in agreement. Many users appeared to agree with him and also described Trump's behavior as childish. A user said, "He's always been this way with women. This kind of thing is nothing new." And here's the thing, you got to start pointing out when he's being childish and call it that. Because the moment that anybody else matches his energy, his sycophants go, "Oh, that's so childish. That's so immature." Call it out. And Trump, we constantly talk about people having daddy issues, especially women having daddy issues. Can we talk about all of the people, regardless of gender, that have mommy issues? And Trump has an issue with women because let me remind you all of his actual history, not the origin story that you've been sold by him and mass media. Trump did not grow up rich or living a rich life. Trump's grandfather, who passed away of pneumonia, what he made fun of Hillary Clinton for having and still showing up to their debate with, he wasn't turning profits. Yes, it was true. He had a brothel here, a brothel there. But he was just buying up land. He was taking his profits and buying up more land and just collecting land like he was the freaking Thanos of land plots. When he died, his grandmother was like, "Okay, how are we going to do this? And, technically I ain't supposed to be out here working and I still got these children to raise." And she's like, "You know what? Let's put something on this land." And she didn't want to just sell off the land or put something on the land and sell it. She had the brilliant idea of doing things that would bring her relatively easy residual income, rental property, laundromats, things like that. Then they started getting into borough real estate development as his father, Fred Sr., started to come up. His grandmother taught Fred Sr. the tricks of the trade, so to speak, because it was a relatively easy way for the family to keep up residual income, and because the family was beginning to grow. Children are growing up. They need more things. They're going to get married. They're going to have kids. People can have jobs within the company. Grandmama was smart. Trump was jealous. He was not a great business person. He had to get other people to do his homework. Then he married Ivana. Wonderful, brilliant business mind. Let's not forget that this woman took her divorce settlement and lived the life that Trump has been trying to live since he turned 21. Ivana was the one that could pay for a dude to come stay with her for a couple months, and then when she got tired of him, they would leave. And you ain't never heard nobody say anything bad about Ivana. We still don't know how many boyfriends she had, how many zippity doo dah. And she was jet setting and everything else. All the women around him, just like the Trump organization, when he renamed it from Mary Trump and Sons and sued his family and stole everything in order for him to take the helm of the company, it started to flounder a lot because he's great at marketing. He sucks at everything else until Ivanka came along. The women in his life are the successful ones. That's why as much as he talks down to women, he strategically always has women in certain positions. And that's who he listens to the most. This is why Susie Wiles right now is not concerned about losing her job. And this is why she could come step to the forefront and in 11 separate interviews talk about how stupid he is and all of the other cabinet members he chose are. Let's continue. Another social media user praised Pritzker for his statement saying, "Superior tweeting from a great governor." Someone quipped, "So fragile he can barely keep up." A fourth one pointed out, "The legal term is arbitrary and capricious." Similarly, many joked and mocked the MAGA leader for his comments against the FDF Swiss leader. Other netizens zeroed in on Trump's mistake and referring to Karen as a prime minister when technically the country doesn't have one. In another thread, they expressed disappointment over Trump's mishap while on air. Hey, world leaders. Hey, world leaders. Every time he gets something wrong, whether it's a title, a capital, whatever, give it back to him. Give it back to him like Canada. Every time he calls your leader a governor, call him a governor. As a matter of fact, call him a mayor. Actually, call him an alderman. I don't even think he knows what an alderman is. Don't use the spray bottle. Don't correct him. Take him down a notch. Take him down a notch. There was a Reddit story that reminded me of several stories I heard over the years of tutoring and teaching from different students about people mispronouncing their names, just deciding to give them nicknames, etc. But this particular Reddit story, this young lady kept correcting a coworker, and his coworker just kept doing, and it was more like on some pick-me vibes with some microaggressions regarding race. So she just started every couple of hours just deciding, pulling a name out of thin air to call this woman. That's what we have to do to Trump. That's what we have to do to Trump. Because one thing that I have learned, when people act like it's not a big deal, when people act like they don't care what other people think, they do. They don't care what people think about you. They absolutely care what people think about them. Flip that mirror around. While they're trying to get you to look at your reflection and make you feel like you're the problem, turn that mirror around on them. Give them back what they give. Now, in doing this with Trump or with anybody in your life, do realize when they throw their fit, you might catch some strays. No different than a toddler literally fighting sleep. You might catch one to the jaw. But do it. Talk about how emotional he is, how irrational he is, how he seems nice but aggressive. Ask him, does he need some Midol? When he gets something wrong, go, "You fat pig, how did you get that wrong?" You know? Hold on. Oof. Actually, Jay, it is inmate number PO1135809. Inmate number PO1135809. Whose inmate number is that? Trump's. Did y'all forget that he has an inmate number? I didn't. Taz Farmstead. Taz Farmstead. Call him Obama's butler. He definitely is. Yeah. My thing is, if you want him to be a decent president, start. Well, hey, Carol. Yes, we're in Illinois right now. Start telling him that Obama did it, or that Obama wanted to do it, or that Obama failed to do it during his presidency. Definitely. Let's make Obama's butler happen. But seriously, literally start writing Trump himself. Not emails, not none of that. Physical letters. You got to realize he's old school. He's old school. Really, Storm? Okay, Storm. But start writing letters and going, you know what? It's such a shame Obama couldn't insert what we need done here. It would be nice if somebody like you could come in and save the day and get her done. I need Gen Xers, Zennials, millennials, period. I'm not going to say elder millennials, period. Okay? Y'all not children. I need y'all to go back and think about when y'all were growing up, especially women and femme presenting Gen X, Zennials, and Millennials, okay? Most everybody was taught to get a man to do what you want them to do, you have to make them believe that it's their idea. This was taught to women and femme presenting individuals for generations. I think after millennials, it stopped so much being taught, or at least that's how it appears. If y'all still teaching it, get better at teaching it, because I don't think your kids is picking up what you're putting down. Okay, pick it up again and put it in their hands. Okay, make sure they holding on to it this time. We have to treat Trump like that. We have to treat him like that. It's no different than the woman who comes, or the guy that comes into a relationship and is jealous of the ex that nobody wants and is still trying to compete, or the person who comes and is jealous of the ghost of the widower and is trying to compete with them and outdo them. That's what you have to do. Well, as always, thank you all for joining me here for the Taz Effect. Sorry, wasn't as high energy as I normally am. But as always, for those listening in over the radio airwaves, thank you for joining us at gcpr.live, and those joining, watching, and listening from all over the World Wide Web, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are interested in any Taz merch and you want to keep the lights on here, you can go to Tazisms, TAZISMS.com. And right now, there are 2 promo codes out there. One is BHM for Black History Month, 26. You can receive 20% off. Or 4LOVE, the number 4, LUV, will get you free shipping. That is site-wise, whether you want to support with some anti-ICE merch, Black History merch, LGBTQI merch, you name it, we got it. Okay? I got beans, greens, tomatoes, potatoes, all that good stuff. Also, Superplex Party tonight on GCPR with Thomas the Villain Bishop, General Gambit, and my IT twin, the Angry IT Nerd. And following that is Conversations with T. Nathan. If you want to hear a Black man's perspective on everything, yes, and there is Cooter Coins merch. There's Coitus Coin / Cooter Coin merch that will also be popping up on the GCPR merch site as well. And if you're a small business owner, or you would just like to see your place of employment advertised here with us at GCPR Radio, please visit us at GCPR.live and click advertise with us, and trust me, we will get your advertisement on the air tonight. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I know normally I have shows, etc., later in the evening. I will not tonight. But remember, don't do anything that requires bail, not in this economy. And most importantly, it only requires bail if you get caught. Till tomorrow, you guys.